Okay.
Good.
We have our situation as I described. The little map that I have shared is from another game entirely, and I happened to find it by coincidence, and it was surprisingly like what I described, and I was kind of pleased. And so I said, "Oh, look, that's the cyber lab." So as I see it, um, the room I described is the one on the far left, which is marked with the number 4. Um, and I haven't really described much of the side rooms. In fact, I didn't mention them last time because I didn't really know about them until I saw this map. And so I've thought a little bit about what are in the side rooms. Um, but since your characters knew that the actual place to go was at the end, I don't think you really had time to examine those unless one of the out of body characters, I think there are two of you who can go and look around in a psychic way to get a better idea of what is in those rooms if you want to. Um, the there some of that information is relevant, but I think that will slow you down a little bit too. So you have to choose. Um,
Uh, yeah, am I right that we have said on before we came here? I think I was scouting. Was
correct.
that before we came to the building, or was it when we entered the building? Because I was kind of one step ahead in my astral projection form.
Correct. So in that case, I want to that you have a chance to look into these rooms if you would like to, as you proceed, as the um, as the little group of you, a little group in more way than one. There's several individuals, and then in one head there is a little group as well. So in that case, we need to get an idea of what you, Niansun, sees in these rooms. Helma.
I have something that's a little bit confusing. The room with the number 4, the room we are in basically now. Uh, I I have some memory of you describing it as the power central, which I kind of interpreted as here are generators and cables and things that if I rip them apart, the power in the whole place will go out. But what you described then was kind of a laboratory. So I wonder if I misunderstood or if both things are in the same place.
I think that I'm going to change my description just a little bit.
Good.
That a lot of the power center that you the let me start over. I do like the idea that there are lots of power generating equipment in this room, but it is a complex um, a complex arrangement. And if you look on the curving wall, you can see there are lots of these little squares and things. And I see those as lots of screens and equipment and the in my mind. And and then there's this little table right in this little desk or table right in the middle. And right next to it, all scattered on the floor, is all these little curious shapes. That is a huge collection of batteries that look as though they belong in an old car. And there are cables that hook them together. And there are uh, probably connections and leads up into the ceiling and cables that go all across the floor in every direction. So there is clearly a lot of electrical energy and storage in that spot. And it's in a very strange place to just be planted right in the middle of the room like that.
Gotcha.
Right. So there is that energy arrangement there. I had spoken of a beautiful bathroom in this area, which also is strangely out of place because there's no wall or anything. And that is at the top of the map, at the place where there looks like a round table with in the map. Just turn that whole section into this pink bathroom.
Oh, I was just thinking about the conference room when I was looking at the picture.
Well, that's kind of what it looks like there, but I am saying that for us, it is that whole sector of the room is this strange, very 1940s perfect American bathroom. So including the floor, which has the tiles. So this is a very surrealistic room. I mentioned that there is also an enormous storage of paperwork and notebooks. And that is that huge pile in the bottom of the map in this room, where it's this grubby looking pile. And it's a little bit more organized than it looks on the map, but not much. There must be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of notebooks and packages of paper, and also the kind of tape that you would see in an old movie projector. These reels of this tape. So somebody tried to organize them long ago, but it has gotten out of control. So
it sounds like the pile Margaret wants.
Right. Yeah. And so that is the situation. Isabella is in the middle at that table, right in the middle. Probably, and then on the.
How do we know she is she?
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Okay, good point. Let's begin with Ola, having scouted the rooms that came first, just so that we are all oriented. Ola, you will be very interested to know that in room number 2, there has been a conversion to a hospital room. It's not very clean, it's not very good, but it does have the necessary equipment to keep a person alive if they are in a coma for the standards of the 1940s, which are not very great by your character's standards, but you could at least keep them alive, and that there is a person lying on that bed. So there is somebody being kept alive in that room medically. And then also there is the room that is marked with a 3 is kind of a terrible place, because in there are kept what apparently look to be captives. So there are people in these enclosures in room number 3. Room number 6 is just full of junk. You know that pile that I talked about before? That room number 6? That's a whole lot more of exactly the same. And then finally in room number 5 is also interesting, because that is, do you remember the strange looking women who were just sitting at that table, who were just sitting there looking passive, or kind of like discarded dolls almost? They are not in this room 5, they're in the main room, but this is where apparently they live. there is a there's a living place for those people. There's a few more things in that room than it appears. Um, there's lots of clothes and they're comfortable beds and things like that. So, Olad, are you oriented for those rooms?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I share all this information.
So you
of course.
return to the group mind,
Yes.
and just as you are coming, and I should probably ask what your thoughts are upon entering this room. Don't forget too that Isabella has the woman who seems to have a central social role. That's fair. That's what you see. And who knows what else there are two people with her. They are standing on the other side, so they are more near the screens, and those are the two tall female characters who are clearly weaponized, heavily weaponized, with cybernetic or cyborg spikes and cybernetic eyes and other impressive science fiction deadly details. So there are 5 people evident in that room. There are 4 of you total in your group. Leal and 3 other people.
Timmy with us, or is he?
Say that again, please.
Timmy with us?
That's a good question. I was thinking it would be very hard for him not to accompany the showdown to Isabella Bain, but if he is with you, considering the great fate roll that you made about this, or that he made, and then the fact that you succeeded, not well, but you did succeed in getting the revolt going, Timmy may have had the good sense that he needs to be out there managing people and not on a personal mission of vengeance. So I want him to be smart enough to, to make a good choice. He may be aware, too, that when it comes to confronting Isabella Bain, that you guys are probably much better suited. He does make it clear that he has no particular interest in her, remaining alive.
We have no specific. Have we, since we started, got any kind of, if you meet Isabella Bain, do this? Oh, we're working with the Russians, but anyway, is there?
No, no, there has not been a direct instruction.
And if I remember right, our plan in coming here was to try to shut down the place so they can't continue sending people to us. Or preparing people to be sent to Earth.
And that's what, so I understand, that's what she's doing here.
This is the cyber lab. This is where both experiments and the final adjustments are made. Some of the research is fully experimental, which means she doesn't really care what happens to the subjects. And others is applied, which means that specific modifications are made to make these soldiers.